if your goal is to buy in 2025, you're nearly 10% of the way through the year. That just blows my mind. Because if you think about it, if your goal is to buy in 2025 and you're leaving it till mid-year, I'm going to get away from a bonus.
I've got to wait for the spring auctions to start. There's always a reason why you can wait longer.
So if you wait and kick the can down the road, and then suddenly we're at June, then you've now got 6 months left in the year, maybe 7. Then off the back of that, you need to get pre-approved, you need to find a property. I'm telling you now, buyer's agents, irrespective of which buyer's agency it is, they're not turning a property around in a month. Depending on your brief, that could take 2 months. And then you've got another month for settlement, depending on where you buy it. That's 3 months on top of the work before that to get, we said 5 weeks to get pre-approved at worst case scenario. So you take 5 weeks plus 2 months, you do the math, 8 plus 15 is 13 weeks. That's a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So think about yourself. Look at your diary, look at your bank statements. Where's my energy and effort going? And then start to stack the deck in your favor. Because if you're a player on a team sport, individual sport, and you're leaving 10% of the game to chance, I don't think you got the best likelihood of winning. You need a massive comeback at that point. And the longer this ship is off track, for example, it's harder to bring this back on track. So again, just think about the momentum that you're building in your own life and your property journey as well. G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Australian Property Investment Podcast. If you've noticed a slight shift, I say the gloves have come off a little bit. We still do bring in a lot of guests, but what I really feel is the conversations that we're having are resonating with a lot of the listeners. People are reaching out, going, that episode hit the spot with me, for example. That guest nailed it. You guys love hearing from our broker team as well. So I'm doubling down on the stuff that we know that works, purely based on feedback. I don't track the listens. I don't track the metrics. I'm not that way inclined. To me, when people are reaching out, going, I got a lot of value out of that last podcast, that is all the feedback loop that I need. We don't need reviews. We don't need subscribers. We just need people that are taking action. So I want to start with that as kind of the platform for today's chat. I've got a fair amount to get through. I've got Damien Walker with me. G'day, mate. How you doing?
Good, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, mate. I'm doing awesome. There's a few points I want to get through today. The first one is a concept that we've just released. Now, in true fashion for me, I have an idea and then I think about the execution later, which you know all too well. But it's this concept of a property powerhouse. Now, I trialed this last year with just a couple of clients. We would meet up on a regular basis. They were strangers to each other, but they had ambitions to grow their property portfolio. And it just seemed to click and work. And when I put this out there, a number of people have come back and said, I want in. So I'm going to talk you through some mechanics and we'll talk you through how we're going to launch this. So what this is, there's two parts to it. There's accountability and community. The accountability is where you come and you say, I want to buy X number of properties in my lifetime. I want to buy 3 properties in 2025. And you're putting that out there to a group that doesn't really know you. But what you're doing is you're verbalizing, you're articulating a goal, which we know that's where you have a better likelihood of hitting that goal as well. And the next part then becomes your accountability and your community. And so there's this community of people that are on the same journey. They're all ambitious property investors. They want to see each other do well. And I had this conversation with a recent client where they told me, look, I want to buy 4 properties this year. I was like, that's awesome. We're going to get that done. We're going to match that energy. We're going to get it done. But I said, would you be able to tell any of your friends that you could buy 4 properties? And they're like, absolutely not. This would not go down well with our friend group. And I was like, look, I don't expect friendships to be there to go, financially, we can put this on the table and here's what we're doing. But we should be able to share each other's success. And is that kind of fair? I think it's asking for too much.
No, it all depends on the type of friends, right? And I think this is one of the things with life in general. It's I think people keep quiet about money, because jealousy is generally what follows when you do boast, or even not boast, but just show. Yeah, I don't think
it's a brag or a flex.
You're just trying to be proud of what you've done, what you've achieved.
Yeah.
Some people will take it in the wrong way. Most people will take it in the wrong way, I'd say.
Yeah, and that makes me sad because I feel like, and maybe it's the line of work that we have where people, we see people winning, achieving day in, day out. The nature of our clients typically action takers, decision makers. That's why you listen to the podcast as well. But I really feel like, welcome to the fold. We want to see you do well. Mm-hmm. Yes, off the back of that, yet commercially, we might do well as a business. Take that aside for a moment and go, I just want to see people, whether they're coming through our business or they've gone through their broker that they've trusted for years and years and years, and they say, look, the podcast has just helped me, accelerate my property growth. I'm like, mission accomplished. And I want to be transparent. There's no agenda here, but this is launching in March. So how I see this playing out is whether the frequency is every 3 or 4 weeks, we bring in a special guest. We're talking high top industry, property experts, people that can break down walls, people that can overcome barriers and challenges, people that have been there, done that. And they're going to share their expertise in an opt-in group, whether we do it as a Facebook Live, whether we do a YouTube Live. I don't know the mechanics yet. That'll come out in March. So again, if that's something that you want in and you say, I want community, I want accountability, because this can be a lonely, if you talk about investing and being your own business, business owners will fail. And I think loneliness will kill a lot of business owners. There's no one to bounce ideas off. There's no one to go, what mistakes are you making? How do I avoid those mistakes? Success leaves clues. How do I follow people's footprints that have done particularly well? I just want that as a community.
Yeah. How do I find these people? Right.
Yeah. Without Googling a bit of brain damage to knock on as many doors, we're going to try and shortcut that bit of success for you as well, because we can handpick people that we know are top tier talent in this space. So it's a Property Powerhouse. Again, if this is something you love, drop us a DM through our socials, drop us an email, say Property Powerhouse, and Rachel and our team will add you to our list of people that want to grow and go forward in life as well. There's a podcast that's coming out that I got featured on recently. I'm super pumped when that comes out. So I'm not gonna blow that open a little bit, but I did get asked on that what my favorite quote was, and look, I've got plenty of favorite quotes. That's a big one. To me, the big telling one that I have is, show me your diary and your bank account, and I'll tell you what you really value. Argue with me on this one.
I think it's true. I think it's probably the easiest way to, if you've never self-reflected, it's the easiest way to have a look and see where you currently are.
Yeah. And just stop on that. Have a think about it for yourself. Show me your diary and show me your bank account, and it'll show you what your priorities are. Let's put this into context a little bit. If you're trying to buy an investment property, I'm going to say if you're buying your first one, where in your diary is time that you've blocked out for education? And if you're doing this all counts. So this is absolutely a huge tick that if this is a lock in your diary. But then where is the next logical step, which is, have you made contact with a buyer's agent? Have you made contact with a mortgage broker? Have you spoken to other investors? Have you paid for a course, for example, and there's skin in the game when you start to pay for a few bits of advice as well? Now, don't just go throwing money willy-nilly. Try and take as much free stuff as you can, but at some point you're going to need to pull the trigger and make some decisions as well. But I really feel like if you're absolutely serious about it, then that's when the rubber hits the road. It's like, hey, mate, meetings got to go into your diary. There's going to be, particularly with buyers agents, there's going to be some level of engagement fee at the very start. We use a filter for a lot of people, right? Yeah. They go, I love it, but I'm going to pay the fee. That's cool. They'll keep moving with or without you and your fee as well. And I think the other part why I say put it into your diary is because people underestimate how long this whole thing takes.
So I saw your notes for this podcast, and I always laugh because when clients come to me and they say, hey, how long till I get a pre-approval? I'm like, maybe 3 to 4 weeks.
It sounds nuts when you say it. Like, and that, overnight.
And I feel like saying sometimes, and that's like being generous, it might be 5 to 6, it could.
There's a number of things. How organized you as a client are,
how busy we are, how busy the bank. There's 3 parties, you, the bank, and us.
Yep.
And we've all got to work together.
Yeah.
We've got in our pod a little hot potato strategy, like get it off your desk, hot potato, get stuff off your desk, get it back to the client, get it back to the bank.
Yeah.
Banks don't always work like that, and clients also don't work like that either. People will sit on things and only action stuff when it's the last minute. It's the procrastinators.
Well, it's that whole urgent and important, right?
Correct.
When trying to get a pre-approval is important, it's not urgent. Mm-hmm. But when you have a contract in your hand, it's urgent and important, which is drop everything, got to move forward, right? And when I looked at this, and this episode will be airing in early February, when you think about if your goal is to buy in 2025, you're nearly 10% of the way through the year. That just blows my mind. We're already 10% of the way through 2025. And so when I look at this, imagine you have a sports team that has the ambitions of winning the game. Just take the game, for example, 80-minute game, and they're not showing up for 10% of that. You go, I don't think you're stacking the deck in your favor in terms of winning this. You've got a lot of heavy lifting to do in that next 90% of the game. Whereas you talk about 80-20, if you can go 20%, hey, I'm going to do a lot of heavy lifting in the first 20% of the year, and we get this flywheel effect of taking action, putting the ball in the broker's court, putting the ball in the buyer's agent's court as well. And it's like, I'm going to keep momentum, keep it going. That flywheel effect means you've done the heavy lifting for 20%, 80% should then start to kind of have that rolling forward momentum as well.
Definitely. And I find that a lot of our clients have probably a lot of them come from these podcasts. So shout out to all you guys.
100%. Love the list.
Have done this. Like January, we spoke about, I came back on the 30th. So in December, you came back a week later.
I regretted coming back in mid-January.
Yeah. It was ready. People were ready to go, hey, what's my borrowing? Yeah. What's my strategy? I've got a client coming in. Yep. One property every quarter. Let's do it. He goes, we're already 3 weeks into this quarter. I had a call with him yesterday. He goes, we got to get moving.
I love
Beautiful. Let's do it.
Because if you think about it, if your goal is to buy in 2025 and you're leaving it till mid-year, I've got to wait for my bonus. I've got to wait for this.
I've got to wait for the spring auctions to start. There's always a reason why you can wait longer. There's definitely many reasons.
And I say, what's the harm in getting pre-approved now? And you can keep rolling that forward. That's one less thing to worry about. So if you wait and kick the can down the road, and then suddenly we're at June, then you've now got 6 months left in the year, maybe 7. Then off the back of that, you need to get pre-approved. You need to find a property. I'm telling you now, buyer's agents, irrespective of which buyer's agency it is, they're not turning a property around in a month. Depending on your brief, that could take 2 months. And then you've got another month for settlement, depending on where you buy. That's 3 months on top of the work before that to get, we said 5 weeks to get pre-approved at worst case scenario. So you take you 5 weeks plus 2 months, you do the math, 8 plus 15 is 13 weeks. That's a quarter. That's a quarter. And so again, you keep kicking the can down the road, which is why we see that December rush become this absolute gluttony of purchases and contracts, because people are leaving it for the last minute to try and buy to close out the year, to go and tick that off my goal list, but you bought at the absolute end of the year.
Oh, it's people wait until June, then they're like, it's winter. We'll wait until spring, and then we've got 3-4 months to Christmas, and suddenly you're at that deadline. Like, it happens every year.
There's patterns. We've seen the patterns. So being around,
break the pattern, people. Let's break the pattern.
Okay. So think about yourself. Look at your diary, look at your bank statements. Where's my energy and effort going? And then start to stack the deck in your favor. Because if you're a player on a team sport, individual sport, and you're leaving 10% of the game to chance, I don't think you got the best likelihood of winning. You need a massive comeback at that point. And the longer this ship is off track, for example, it's harder to bring this back on track. So again, just think about the momentum that you're building in your own life and your property journey as well.
And just quickly on pre-approvals, guys, you get pre-approved, they normally will last up to 6 months. So they cover you 3 to 6 months. If you have it lended at 6 months, you only need 2 pre-approvals to cover you for the whole year.
Yeah.
So even if you're sort of looking, maybe not looking, actively looking, just get one.
Yeah.
Just get one in place and be ready for when the opportunity arises.
Let me tell you again, this is me with a few seasons under my belt in mortgage broking. Why do people think it's stressful to buy a home? It's because they're bought without a pre-approval.
Yep.
I should say that again. That's the reason why people find it stressful. Now, I'm not saying that people with a pre-approval automatically just easy breezy go through.
Get the loan, right?
100%. There's so many chinks in the armor, whether it's on our end, whether it's on a bank's end, whether we're waiting for something from a client, for example.
The property, whatever it might be.
3 people that's involved in this purchase as well. So yeah, you're right. The property in itself, I mean, we're seeing where there's stuff, still happening close to settlement.
Yeah, building and pest reports coming back in, little things like that. But they're exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
When you have a pre-approval, generally it's quite simple.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
You should be moving from pre-approval through to formal and going through that smooth sailing, ride to settlement as well. Expect there might be a hiccup here. Expect that you might have to get, independent legal advice. Expect that you might need to get a trust, something from your accountant. So this is all par for the course as well. So strap yourself in. Don't expect it to be easy. And I think this is, again, showing up in a lot of that's why I talk about this podcast, personal development. I want to bring this in. I mean, we had our team strategy day at the start of the year where I kind of showed the team, going, look, this is our grand plans for 2025. How are we all showing up? And I brought in my personal coach, Jody Cooper. A big shout out to Jody. I did a lot of work with Jody last year, particularly around, my energy, my headspace, my mindset. How am I showing up, for example? And I feel like a lot of the feedback we get on the podcast is going, hey, you guys are really deep on mindset. Because I'm like, that changes the game completely. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're absolutely right. Like, that's saying to me, it nails it. Yeah. So whether you think you can buy property or you think you can't, you're right. Yeah. We're trying to stack the deck that we can get more people to buy and become top 1% property investors, changing the absolute game from a generational wealth perspective as well. You take care of yourself, you can take care of others. I feel that's the equation that we're following. And so for me, Jody's done a lot of work. That session that we had as a team, I'm not sure you can share in a second what you got out of it, but it really showed up the concept of resilience. And, resilience is often, how often you can bounce back, for example. And we said, look, there's going to be so many setbacks in life. It's not necessarily how many punches to the face you can take, but it's almost how do you mentally prep and prime yourself that you go, some days are good, some days are challenging, for example. Not everything's going to go my way, but how do I get myself in a more positive mindset to go? Even the challenge is a part of that growth journey as well.
Yeah. And that ties in what we did with Jody last week and the book that we're studying this quarter,
It's mindset.
Mindset. Yeah. The growth. And Carol Dwyer.
Yeah. So check that out, right? That's something that we're doing as a team. I'm trying to level up our team where we can actually, go to a new level. And we're reading a book together, which is called Mindset. Great TED Talk as well.
It's a fantastic book. And she just talks about, the growth mindset or a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you've got that growth mindset, when you get thrown challenges, you learn from them. You could break this book down to simply that. If you get a challenge, you learn from it. If you've got a fixed mindset and you get a challenge, you don't learn from it. You should sort of shirk away. So getting that resilience, if we're talking about little things like, the pre-approval didn't go right, need to go to a different bank.
Yeah.
Some clients, sure, that's it. Should send me the forms to sign.
Yes.
Some people need to make their feelings heard for some reason, even though, hey, there's a solution at the end here. Like, there's always a solution. We don't lose deposits. But, if you've got that growth mindset, roll with the punches. You're right. Move on with it.
And maybe because we've got a few, like we said, a few seasons under our belt, and we can see the solution that we don't want to lose that emotional intelligence that comes with your money and finances and being declined by a bank is the ultimate insult, for example. We're not being flippant or low in emotional intelligence around that. We get the stakes are high, but I guess we're trying to come with an energy to go, man, we're seeing far worse.
Yeah, definitely.
All good. Like, I had a client literally yesterday, they went direct to a lender. I won't say which bank it was. This is over 3 years ago, to buy their owner-occupied property, got declined off, those zip pays or afterpays, or those buy now, pay later facilities. And that they've sat on the market. They sat outside the market for 3 years. And I just couldn't help myself. I said, no way, don't take that no for an answer. And that bank, for whatever reason, whether it was the lender's fault, the bank's policy, misinterpretation, you could have easily have picked up and gone to another bank or a broker. And he's like, yeah, the amount of people that said that afterwards. I was like, look, you've come across my path at this point right now. There's a reason for that. But now we're moving forward. I was like, that past issue that should never have happened. And you've let that derail your property buying journey. And imagine what that 3 years out of the market has done. Not only that, but the mental.
People carry the mental load of the decline.
Yeah.
Second opinion, third opinion, guys. If you don't believe it, or just get different opinions from different people. Even if you get something from us, want to speak to another broker, we're very open here at Atelier Wealth. People come to me all the time. I'm already speaking to a broker. Perfect. Yep. Same rate.
We've got these. Let's put up mortgage broking is the ultimate level playing field.
Yep.
The exact same loan products, whether you're Aussie Mortgage Choice, whether you're Atelier Wealth,
whether you're direct to bank, doesn't matter.
Also the exact same product, right? It's like a travel agent. They're selling the exact same flight. To us, it's the destination and how we're getting you there. It's the difference. You can go cheap and go connecting flights to get to Europe, right? Or you can go with us and go direct flight. You might pay a little bit more. You might have to do a little bit more inconvenience. But I'm telling you, it's worth the extra, doing the extra work as well. So that's how That's how I guess we look at our view of the world.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
So when we talked about, I guess, the value in investing in yourself, I'll put a lot of personal investment into my mindset, into my body last year. Again, there's no flex here. I'm just sharing what works for me. Yeah, we invested in a sauna and ice bath at home. But again, I'm looking at this going, how am I showing up as the best version of myself? Bernie's back at Pilates. And we made that a high priority. Again, you talk about showing me your diary and your bank account. You could see that our well-being, whether that's financially or physical well-being, has become a real priority for us as well. We've got one body. How are we finding longevity? How are we finding happiness and enjoyment? And something that I shared it with my team the other day was go on to car sales. And if you're listening, hit pause after this and maybe try this. Go on to car sales and do a search for a car based on your income. So if you were a vehicle, how much would you be worth at the moment? And I just did this yesterday with a client. I said, look, client's earning $115,000, decent salary. I jumped on. I was like, dude, from my perspective, you're a 2024 BMW M2. Not a bad piece of machinery. Pretty good. 6,000 Ks on it, so pretty much brand new. And I said, how would you treat that car? And we're talking about, I was like, mate, service regularly, the best petrol, the best mechanics working on it, for example. Insurance, before you even picked it up, you'd have it insured and everything done. And I was like, it'd be cleaned, it'd be well maintained.
Detailed every month.
Right. Not a scratch on it, for example.
Dogs are not allowed in there. Kids, do not even try.
Good. And then I said, mate, when was the last time you invested in yourself like that? If you looked at this, and if you're listening, you are your greatest asset. You are the income producing asset that enables yourself to go and buy properties. So how are you refueling yourself? How are you recharging yourself? How are you taking care of yourself as a priority? Dare say some people are probably spending more on their cars than they are on their personal development and well-being.
I think that's very true. And I've got a quote that I looked up before this podcast and I love it. So formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Take that, self, whatever it might be, but looking after yourself will provide so much more for you in the long run. So looking after yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, putting the investment into yourself, it just pays dividends. Like totally. It's really hard to deny when you actually go through and do it.
Yeah.
We talk about the growth mindset. People have a hard time understanding how they can start changing their mindset. Just do little things and just watch yourself grow, and do little things like invest in yourself, like a gym membership. That's probably the best way to start. Get a gym membership, go lift weights for a month or 8 weeks, watch your body change.
100%.
That's the biggest catalyst to go, actually, I can change something within myself.
Yeah.
And the more you do that and the more you invest, the better person you'll become.
And you think about that, when you're trying to change yourself, you'll find people that are pulling you back. Why are you going to the gym? What a waste of time.
Why aren't you going to the pub?
Hey, great. Why are you trying to eat healthy now? How much is this going to last, right?
And it's normally coming from the people you love the most.
We'll talk about the friend circle. We've gone right back to the very start. Yes, they're friends, but are they truly lifting you up? And it's a really sad reality. They're the friends that are pulling you down, or you're trying to lead the herd and trying to accelerate your growth and journey, which is why you need to do some things in silence.
Yes, true. Yep.
No one is saying I'm going to the gym. No one's saying I'm buying property, but I've plugged into a group that then champions my success or champions the fact that I'm taking action and moving forward. And maybe it's a poor plug for the property powerhouse. But again, what I'm trying to say is, if you're running your own race, then you have to ignore a lot of people that that are going to be detractors and naysayers. This is not the time to invest. Why you want to buy now? That's a bad place to buy in that state or territory, for example, as well. Your greatest asset, your income goes towards buying assets. The assets will then give you the ability to go on, have a lifestyle. Whereas a lot of people, the wealth equations, and when I earn my income, I'm then going to go and have a lifestyle, and what is left over, I'll go and invest. So we're trying to rewire this equation that we're going, hey, look, this notion of a 30-year mortgage to me is absolutely redundant. You could buy investment properties, build that portfolio off, sell that off, clear your owner-occupied mortgage, for example, if that's the way that you're inclined. You can keep scaling a portfolio. We're going to unpack some of these strategies as the year goes through as well. If you've got questions around that you want answered, drop us a line and we'll happily answer questions and thoughts. So we'll just close off that point by saying, put the same effort and energy that you have in maintaining yourself as you would maintaining a vehicle off your income level as well.
What vehicle were you, Aaron?
Yeah, look, I was a little bit uncomfortable when I did search it.
You saw the insurance on it. You're like, oh no.
Oh, I mean, our income levels, moved us into a band now where it's, probably supercar level.
Yeah.
And if I owned that supercar, geez, mate, that thing would be in the garage, would be immaculate, for example. But I feel like that's a reflection of where I am also. Like my mind, again, that same.
I mean, you've got the sauna and the ice bath in your garage.
That's why I can't put a nice car in there. But you stand guard to the door to your mind. And I'm very careful about, the BS that I let into my mind. I've deleted all my social media apps on my phone. That was done a long time ago. My phone is generally on black and white a lot of the time to avoid it becoming a dopamine fix. I'm invested into personal coaching. Please, guys, when I'm talking about this, I'm sharing openly and transparently about my journey because I want the rising tide to lift all ships, which is why I try to get the team. I'm trying to get the team on my journey because I tell you what, when you talk about the 5 people you spend the most time around with, that's our team.
Yeah, it's normally your work colleagues and your partner.
And we talk about this. Be careful who you have in your team because they will drag you down. The way that they talk, the way that their attitudes, it's so hard. It's, complaining, I'm confused. Like that's poor. That's helpless language. That doesn't fly here. You're either an order taker or you're a problem solver. You and I have spoken a lot about this.
Yeah.
Order taker or you're a problem solver.
And there's 2 different incomes
mate,
for those.
Exactly right. An order taker, you're capped. You're capped in how much you can earn.
Yeah.
If you're solving problems, you then have this uncapped ability to earn because you can just see problems before they come up. Solved, I moved on to bigger and better problems.
Bigger and better problems, you're adding value to other people as well. And that's what you're getting paid for.
Great. And I see this in mortgage broking all the time. I'd say that mortgage broking as an industry, for example, is 80-20. There's 20% of brokers earning 80% of the commissions across this industry because they are straight up strategic problem-solving mortgage brokers. The other 80% are just going, okay, I'll get you a loan. It's the cheapest rate. And they're going to some bank, like a Bank of China, for example. And it's like they're waiting 3 months to get their loan approved, right? So that's just one of my examples. Rant over. I want to round up by saying a couple of tech tools that we're seeing come across our desk that will help you as an investor. Tax Tank, that this was brought up when we went to the Sam Gordon's property summit last year. That kind of launched with a bit of a bang. I know Bernadette has got us set up on Tax Tank as well. So she's driving that, loving it. So it's almost like what they'd call zero for property investors. So instead of having to be on zero, you can jump in there. You can give your broker access to Tax Tank. Your property manager can feed into that, for example. The value of the property, the loans can all sit under one roof as well. So if you're that way inclined and you want to move forward in terms of being paperless, in terms of being organized, I'd suggest Tax Tank is something to look at. In fact, I want to get them on and talk about their solution as well. Prop Hero Property Director is something that's come up in those fintech property or PropTech awards as well. So check them out if you want to get see what they're about. Game Plans, I've seen them around a fair bit as well. Again, all under one roof. You can share it with your broker, you can share it with your financial planner. Shares, property, income, all sits under there. And we were speaking before about our friends over at Empower Wealth and what they've got. They've got a platform called More. I believe it's like 40,000. How many?
Yeah, I think it's at 43,000.
So 43,000
active members.
Kind of into that. A little bit of budgeting, property investing, for example, as well. Again, at this stage, we might be able to bring Ben Kingsley back on and talk about what they're doing over at More. But I think if you're looking to scratch an itch around tech and kind of have it all under one roof, and just be aware, like that today's software won't be tomorrow's solution, right? Tech's one of those things where you may outgrow it or a new product will come onto market. So don't get too attached to it. Just know that like a snake shedding its skin, you may outgrow something and then you have to move on to something bigger and better as well. Otherwise, the spreadsheet can do the trick as well.
Yeah, and look, we were talking about just budgeting software these days.
Yes.
The banks are doing quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go through your internet banking.
Yeah, going through, like, if you're going back to, what's the original quote, Aaron? Show me
Show me your diary and your bank account and I'll show you what you really value.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, so go onto your internet banking. Yeah. Most, like, of the larger lenders have these categorizations broken down for all your spending, and go have a look at what you're spending, because it's a rude shock. I hate it sometimes. You look in there and you go, oh my Lord.
You'll be asleep at the wheel with subscriptions that you could have cancelled, for example.
Yeah, I'm
pretty diligent with, like, in the business. There's stuff that I can see Rachel probably nodding, because I'm always going, what's this expense, Rach? And I think you need to be vigilant.
You got to,
You've got to be vigilant, man. That's your money.
Yeah, that
is your money. I think I've seen Dave Ramsey talks about, the best way to save $5,000 is to save $13 a day.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. Think about that. You're flipping around a lunch, for example, $13 over the year, spent $5,000. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you might go, look, my time's worth more. That's cool. But again, we're talking about if you genuinely want to save.
Yeah. Those first time buyers, if you're trying to get that next investment property, have a look at your budget. Yeah, definitely.
Dollar counts. And
the big one for me, I found, we had a lot of one-off expenses that were recurring every month. Especially when you buy a new house and you're doing things, a bit of furniture, blinds, you're just doing, it's a one-off. And then you're like, actually, there's a trend here.
Yes.
This is just our spending now. So you nip it in the bud if it's an issue. At least you can see it with some of these tech tools they've got now.
That, or what's happening, we're going to have to budget it in. So now we need to budget for, like, or sub-accounts.
Now we pull back on something here.
Yeah. So like a pie chart, you can then work out, okay, how much we're actually spending. For that to pick up, something else has got to drop off. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because most people are usually on a fixed income if you're salaried. So you got 100% coming in net pay. For something to increase, you then got to find something else to decrease as well. The pie's not getting bigger from incomes. Yeah. Another good tech tool that I got shown from a good mate is something, if you listen to a podcast like this and you want to go, hey, I want to just get that spot. Maybe you want to share that particular segment or portion with a partner or a friend. It's called Get Snipped. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you go through Get Snipped and you listen to the podcast through there, and it has like AI summaries, for example, and you can press pause and you can just bookmark that spot in the podcast as well. Okay. So check that one out.
I thought it was a vasectomy tool.
That does this. Get Snipped. Just to round out, if you're listening, you want to scratch the itch and you don't know what the next logical step is, there's two really good ways for it to get in touch with us. If you're starting out on your journey and you want a property roadmap, so hey, what's my borrowing capacity? What am I capable of doing? How much deposit do I have or do I need, or how much can I use to get into the property market as well? That's what we call a roadmap session. So if that's something you're interested in, drop us a DM, roadmap session, jump on our website. There's usually a little chat box down the bottom, which a lot of people do jump on there. Or you can book directly into our broker's diaries through our Calendly link on our website. That's one. The next is a portfolio review. So this is if you have existing properties. I'm saying even if you have one above and you want to say, how much equity am I sitting on? What's my propensity or my capability to buy future investment properties? So I buy through a trust, so I buy through a self-managed super fund, individual names, for example. Then we're talking about a portfolio review. And that generally means we pop the hood. What's actually going on at the moment? Show us your incomes, show us your property portfolio. Where's the equity? What LVR are we leveraging properties up to? What LVR are we buying properties at, for example? And how scalable is your portfolio? And where do we think we're going to start to hit some headwinds? For example, we've got one where they're trying to buy properties for the next, I'm going to say 3 years, because at that point they want to start a family. Mm-hmm. And so we know we've got a 3-year window, double income, no kids, awesome sweet spot. This is the time to put your foot down, because I said to them, and this again, I'm speaking from experience here, once you start having young babies or a family, your priorities will start to shift naturally. You want to spend the first 1 to 2 years focusing on family. Financially, you probably take a back seat because a baby will take off $50,000 on your borrowing capacity, sometimes 60. Mm-hmm. Income will drop. So then cash flow then starts to reduce. So your borrowing capacity will diminish. If you've got properties, you should be sitting on a little bit of cash or have some extra cash flow to get you through a maternity or paternity leave scenario. Then you can come up for air a little bit as well. And having a child at Atelier is super, super expensive. Like, Dan, you've seen it firsthand. We, even in our example with Bernadette, where you probably have to take time off out of your career. If you really want to be a present and active parent, someone's career may need to go on hold, or you go down the path of you paying for care, whether that's childcare, before after school care, nannies or pairs, whatever the format or modality is. You're going to pay a lot for having kids.
Yeah, it's either your income takes a hit or your expenses go up by quite a bit. Yeah.
Again, we're just trying to say there's seasons that will happen in your life, and the season of having a young family is at the time to put your foot down and accelerate your property journey, because you should be in that nurturing, that parenthood mode, and then you'll come out as well. And I usually see this for a lot of people. Where it can get away from you is that I went to the cafe the other day and I bumped into some old clients, and their child is now starting uni, and I spoke to them when their child was starting high school.
Oh, wow.
So what's that, like 5-6 years, for example?
Yeah.
5-6 years ago, they were talking about it. Now they got school fees for their, for their daughter to go through private school. And then now they go, our daughter's at a private school. Now we can get back into investing. They missed out a 5-year window. I knew that there was still a chance that they could buy a property 5 years ago, but the market has significantly changed from 5 years to where it is now. And so is their borrowing capacity.
And so is their cash position because of private school.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So, there could be a situation where you can have your cake and eat it too. There could be a situation where if you're thinking your kids are going to private schools, and maybe you could buy that investment property, pull the equity out that you've got that on tap, for example. I'm not saying you borrow necessarily for private school fees, but you've got a slush fund. And I'm saying don't let things happen. When I get to this stage, then I'll get to that. What I call perpendicular. Have it going parallel. So have your investing property journey while you're saving, maybe while you're buying some shares or ETFs, for example, and a way that you can weave this together, that things are happening in parallel rather than things happening perpendicular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I really hope that this episode has hit a spot. Like I said, I'm genuinely appreciative for everyone that reaches out saying that you're tuning regularly, that you're getting a lot of value, that you're getting a lot of insights. I genuinely mean it. Thank you so much for the feedback. If you feel like there's guests that you want to come on, that you want questions answered, or you want topics covered, please drop us a DM, send us a message, leave a comment, for example. We'll pick those up, and then we'll build out, when we're building out our calendar, we can start to bring in the right guests that you want to hear more of as well. So that's a wrap for another episode of the Australian Property Investment Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Have a think about it. Just go back to that car sales. Have a think about how much are you worth as a car and how much care would you take of that vehicle if you were that car. I'm going to leave you on that note. Have an awesome week. Thanks.